Hello, Jim Lynn here. Welcome back to the channel. I think it's time I made some inroads into building some of these 55 odd kits that I've got up in my stash. But I decided that rather than start with one of those old kits, because you know they're of varying quality and some of them quite rare, I thought I'll start with a new kit, a new tool, and that'll just ease me back into the modelling world again with something that is kind of almost guaranteed to be an easier kit to do. So I went on ScaleMates and I found on there that the Airfix have a 1/72nd scale Mustang that was a new tool in 2021, so I thought I'll go and get that. So I went on Hobbycraft's website because we've got a store near here, and the local store showed that it had 3 in stock. So I went down there, they didn't have any in stock. Well, I couldn't find them anyway. And whilst I was looking around, I found this kit. Now this is the Airfix 1/48 scale Chipmunk, and I did some research on ScaleMates whilst I was in the shop, and this is actually a new tool as well, and again it's 2021. This is a reissue with different markings than the original, which was RAF markings. But this piqued my interest because the Chipmunk was the aircraft that I had my very first ever flight on. And that was when I was 15, and it was in 1975. I knew that, but when I got home I thought, well, when exactly was that flight? Did some research in my logbooks and found that it was on the 8th of November 1975. So whilst I was wandering around the scale model world, I had no idea that it was the 50th anniversary on that day of my very first flight in an aircraft. Now, here I am, 14,300 hours later, building model kits again. Now, as I said, I've got 55 odd to build in 3 years, so we better get cracking. Some people like unboxing videos and others not so much, but one thing's for sure, you can't build a kit unless you unbox it. So, here we go. Let's have a look at the instructions first of all. Now, turning the page, I can see that, well, first of all, they're in colour, and also the quality of the drawing is absolutely outstanding. You can clearly see the detail that you're going to expect on the plastic parts here. In the early 1970s, instructions were not like this. In fact, when I first started, you would have an exploded diagram up here and then a whole load of writing telling you what to do, like to take part 5 and glue it to part 6 and things like that. But I'm not quite sure what the red bits mean yet. I suspect it might mean that take the previous part and glue it to this part. I don't know, we'll soon find out once we move on. Now there's some nice colour schemes at the back. We've got the Irish Air Corps Irish Historic Flight, and then there is a Portuguese one here. But this one's quite interesting. I quite like the look of this. This is the King's aircraft, well, when he was a prince. His Royal Highness Prince Charles's Chipmunk, the Queen's Flight in 1968. I think that's quite unusual, and I might go for that one. Now let's have a look at some of the plastic. Okay, these are the clear plastic parts. They look very, very nice. And also I bought this die-cut flexible mask. I wasn't going to buy any aftermarket stuff to do this kit, but I found these online when I was doing research, and I thought, well, why not? It's going to make the job of masking all these parts a lot easier. Let's have a look at the grey parts now. So looking at the grey plastic, well, what can you expect from Airfix? Good surface detail on the fuselage here, and some nice interior detail with the odd little, a couple of controls moulded. There's the odd ejector mark on the inside, but as long as they're on the inside, that's fine. And looking at the wings, again, very nice detail, particularly this ribbing on the trailing edge, towards the trailing edge of the surface, of the upper surface of the wing. And this kit comes with a detailed engine, you can see it there. Some good undercarriage detail, cockpit floor. Yeah, so I'm going to enjoy building that, I think. I'm going to have to wash these parts in some detergent just to get rid of any mould release, which is going to help with painting. But before we do that, let's have a look at the decals. So these are the decals. Now I know these are made by a company called Cartograph, an Italian company. Airfix have been using them for a while, and a lot of YouTubers think that these are absolutely fantastic. So I'm looking forward to using these. But on the other hand, I don't remember having bother with the decals that were around in the 1970s. But I know a lot of YouTubers complain about other companies' decals. So yeah, looking forward to it. The detail is crisp and clear. I can actually read the tiny writing. That's incredible. And you've got some instrument panels there. I mean, these are smaller than my eyes can see, I think. So yeah, looking forward to that. But to start off, let's get these plastic parts washed. Okay, to wash the parts, I've just got some warm water, hand hot, with some little bit of detergent in it. I've got the part here. I just drop it in, and I just like to go over it with a brush on all the surfaces, just to make sure that I agitate all the mould release agent off of it. Turn it over. Obviously the glue surfaces is quite important, all the small bits as well. That's good. And then once that's done, just rinse it in, again, warm water but without detergent. That's it. Put it to one side to dry. Now after I've done this, I'll be pouring the water away through a sieve. Obviously, I don't want to lose any small parts down the sink. And I used to do this in the 1970s when I was cleaning the parts, and it rescued quite a few small bits that way. Anyway, I'll crack on and do the rest of this, and then we can start building. So here we go. Section 1 asks us to build the front seat, and that consists of a frame and a seat pan, which I'm cutting out here. Now these nippers are German made, and I found them in a market in Spain, a little town called Javia, believe it or not, and they're extremely sharp, and I didn't realise just how sharp they were until this happened. Well, that's lesson number 1 learned. Now I like to clean up using a chisel. This edge, the front edge, is obviously very sharp, but you also keep the arrest between the sides and the base sharp, and this turns the chisel into an excellent scraper. And because it has more mass, you don't get any of that annoying chattering that you sometimes get when using a knife. Now here I'm using Tamiya extra thin quick setting cement for the first time, and I didn't realise how well it flowed around the joint until I got a sticky fingerprint on my very first assembly. So I guess that is lesson number 2 learned. Now I'm going to be building the King's aircraft, which is option C of section 2 of the instructions, which simply means that you fit this little seat pan, part C21. I thought it would be a good idea to use the extra thin cement to glue in this part. I also thought it would be a good idea to use pliers to pick it up. Well, the extra thin glue didn't work. I guess it was just too thin to make good contact between the two parts, but it's not a problem. We'll just go to some old school glue. So I guess that's lesson number 3 learned. Also here I've turned to tweezers to place the part. Those pliers turned out to have sharp jaws, and it made marks on the side of the piece, so I won't be using them again. So I think we're already up to lesson number 4. This is the rear seat assembly, a lot simpler. Now I had 9 flights in Chipmunks, and I can't for the life of me remember which seat I sat in. We're on to section 4 of the instructions now. This is the cockpit floor, and we're required to drill 4 1mm holes. So I like to use this nice little hand drill that I've got. Now a narrow chisel is very useful here because you can reach down into parts to clean up. But you do have to be careful with the angle at which you hold the chisel, or you can get a little nick, a cross nick like I've done here. Not a big deal, it'll be hidden by the part that's going to be glued on there and also painted black. So who's going to know? Anyway, that's lesson number 5. These 4 holes are for the 2 compasses. Now, I don't remember those in the real aircraft, but what I do remember very vividly from my very first flight was that instant when the ground first dropped away and we were floating. We were flying and we were climbing upwards and the scenery was expanding, and it was an absolutely wonderful sensation. And I didn't realise at the time, but that was me hooked for life. Here I'm fitting the control columns to the cockpit floor. Now, I do remember flying the aircraft on my very first flight. All I can remember is that it was a wonderful feeling of being in control in 3 dimensions. Now, as I fit these seats, one thing to note is that we didn't have seat cushions in the aircraft that we flew, the Air Experience flight aircraft. We sat on the parachute itself. Now, I'm actually quite impressed with this Tamiya extra thin quick setting cement. It's almost as fast as super glue. I think as I worked on this part and finally got it glued on, I think I was only holding it for maybe 30 seconds before it grabbed. Well, so far so good. We've completed sections 1 to 7 of the instructions, but here I'm going to jump ahead to section 10 to fit the flap levers. Now, this little tip here is the tip of a connecting rod which went through the front seat to connect to the front flap lever. Now, if you're not very careful, you end up learning lesson number 6. Now, I must admit to finding fitting these 2 little parts quite tricky, a little bit fiddly, and I haven't really got the crossbars aligned perfectly, but it'll have to do for the time being. I think in hindsight, if I'd blue tacked the cockpit floor to the desktop, everything might have been a little bit easier. Anyway, we'll call that lesson number 7. We've returned to section 8 of the instructions, and the inset detail shows that we have to drill 1mm holes, 2 in each fuselage half, and that is to take some strakes on the outside of the aircraft on the option that we are building, the King's aircraft. Well, I'm already putting lesson number 7 into practice, holding the part firmly with blue tack, whilst I clean up with this chisel. Now, at this stage in the instructions, it advises us to paint the 2 fuselage halves and the cockpit section before gluing them together. Now, when I bought this kit in Hobbycraft, I had no idea which of the 3 versions I was going to be building, so I looked at the little panel on the side of the box which lists all the paints that are required, and I just bought them all. And I bought Humbrol enamel paints, and that's only because that's what I was used to. I know that there's acrylics available, but I've never used them, so we'll get to that at some point in the future. But this colour is Humbrol number 85 Satin Black. Now, the instructions say to use colour 126 to paint the seat belts, which are moulded onto these seat cushions, but I couldn't find that, so I just bought another light grey. 126 is a light grey, so I bought another one, number 64, and that's what I'm using here. Now, in hindsight, I probably should have painted these seat belts before I glued the seat cushions into the seat, because access is a little bit more restricted. And this brush isn't the finest of brushes. I should have bought a finer one. So the end result is a little bit raggedy. So here I've switched to a different brush to see if I can finish off and tidy things up a little bit. So finally for this episode, I'm just going to do a little bit of dry brushing, just to try and highlight some of the details of the cockpit and the fuselage sides. Well friends, I'm very conscious of the fact that it's been a good 6 or 7 weeks between my welcome to the channel video and this, the first build video. And if you think about it, at this rate of production, I'm never going to get these 55 kits done in 3 years. However, a lot of the time taken to produce this one video was taken up by experimentation of things like camera angles and focus and lighting and color temperature and scene setting and editing and all these things that go into making a video. And whilst this particular video is by no means perfect, I think things will definitely improve as time goes on. So I think we'll call time on this video, but before we go, if I could please ask, if you liked the video, please like and subscribe. That will go a long way to helping the channel. And it just remains for me to say thank you for watching, and I'll see you next time on Mr. Lynn's Model Shop.